Okay, this is part 3 of my review criticism of the documentary film The Price of Pleasure by Ching Sun and Miguel Picker. So this part is probably gonna, what's the term, ruffle feathers? I don't know if that's the right word. Anti-pornography feminists are going to be probably a little bit more pissed off at this one than they were at the others. I would say. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't want to tell people what they're going to think. So, because this one, there's actually they feature, he's prominently featured in the series. Robert Jensen, Dr. Robert Jensen, a professor of media studies at University of Texas, I believe. And now I've actually encountered this guy before. In about 2 years ago, I'd say maybe. I'm terrible with judging time. I have to look it up. But I started. I had gotten a book, one of his books, at a used bookstore in Juneau, called "Getting Off: Pornography and the End of Masculinity." And I read it, and I was going to write like a book review of it for another discussion group a text discussion group that I am part of, and I just never got around to doing that. I ended up losing. I don't know where it's at now, even although it'd be useful now. I found the book to be terrible. It was badly written, in my opinion, for the kind of book it was supposed to be. It could have focused directly on facts. Instead, it ventured into. I mean, it just wandered all over the place, in my opinion, and he never supported his central premise adequately, in my opinion. He made up not made up isn't the right word. He threw out a bunch of okay. Anyway, I'm sorry. I don't want to ramble on about that, but maybe I'll do a book review of it when I get my boxes unpacked and I find that book again. I'll maybe rewrite it, but it. So I didn't particularly care for the guy. Since then I've read a number of his essays online. He's got at his website. He's got a number of his papers and things that he's written are available. You can download. You can do a Google search for him. If I think about it, I'll put a link up. Against pornography, but he's also done a lot about a lot of anti-capitalist, anti-white privilege, anti-gender privilege things. And like is so often the case, I agree with a good part of what he says. I actually find, I bet if we were to compare political ideologies, I bet him and I have a whole lot more overlap than I do with maybe some other people. But I don't particularly like the guy. I find him a little. I find him to be something of a hypocrite. I find him to be really kind of irritating, actually. I've listened to some of his radio interviews and stuff, and the things that he says, I think he's dishonest, because I think he's really an intelligent person. And so when somebody that's I don't know, when 4G, I'm just picking an example, says something and then contradicts himself later, the argument can be made that he's too much of a dumb fuck to know any better what he just did. I mean, but I would hope that somebody with this man's extensive body of work and degrees and whatever, that he knows exactly what he's doing when he says one thing and then contradicts it, and then it's manipulative. It comes off as sleazy, in my opinion. So, sorry, I'm rambling on about Robert Jensen now, but I want to show one clip of him because I think it's really important that to sort of show. I actually have another clip. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to it in this one. I'll have to make another part with this. So here's this clip right here.
The argument that pornography gives women meaningful economic opportunities masks the fact that very few women actually sustain a career in pornography and acquire any kind of wealth. The lion's share of the profits in pornography are still made by the people who produce and distribute it, which are overwhelmingly men.
Okay, so now, if you get what he's saying there, he's saying the pornography industry is bad. It's bad because the women involved in it are making a pittance. They're not making a career. They're not financially independent. Really, the big profits are going to the predominantly male-owned producers, distributors, and such. In other words, the higher up. What he's saying is that pornography suffers from this horrendous gender inequality that therefore makes it a bad thing, right? I don't have any real disagreement with that statement, except for the fact that he has established in other writings that he believes that, well, pretty much the entire capitalist system, the entire American system, the entire Western system suffers from that exact same thing. Why select out one relatively minor industry out of that compared to the whole? Why not say, oil companies, very few women benefit from oil corporations. In reality, it's the rich white guys at the top that are benefiting from it. There's even more profit, even more inequality in some of those industries. So why pick out that one? It's because he's trying to let you know how bad pornography is. But by selecting it out in opposition to other ones without it's dishonest, okay? And I'm going to give an example I hope makes sense. Here's me on my soapbox, okay? Okay, this is going to shock and I want you guys to listen to this. 1 out of every 3 hate crimes that occurs in front of a Starbucks restaurant are targeted against gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgendered individuals. 1 out of 3. Okay? Far more than the proportions of gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgendered individuals that are in front of Starbucks at any given time. Okay? So therefore, Starbucks is bad. Starbucks should be shut down. Right? Obviously these coffee shops are promoting hate somehow. These coffee shops need to be, whatever they're doing needs to be stopped. Is that fair to say? No, it's not fair to say. Because 1 out of 3 hate crimes occurring anywhere in public streets is against gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgendered individuals. Okay? I could have said the same thing with U.S. Postal Service mailboxes. I could have said the same thing for the entrances to hotels. I could have said bar entrances. I could have said any other type of building, and the stat would have been exactly the same. Okay? By selecting out one subset of that and saying, therefore, this is proof that that's bad, is exactly the same thing. Now, you might have other reasons for saying pornography is bad, but you can't use the financial, the economic disparity between those that produce and own it and those that work for it as evidence as something bad about pornography. It's simply not the case any more than it is for any other industry and business out there. It's a terrible thing, I agree. But by picking that out, it's really an emotional appeal, and it's well, in my opinion, it's very sleazy, and I do think he knows what he's doing when he knows what that argument's meant to do. Okay, I have 2 minutes left. I don't have time to